Bouman reloading here again. We have the Eliminator 5 from Burris. We're going to unbox that here in a second. I'll get you zoomed in on it while we open it up. Give me just a moment to get it set up and we'll be right back. Alright, here's the Eliminator 5. Let's see about getting this unboxed here. Now, I had to send mine in, and this is a brand new one. I was a little disappointed with that. It was brand new. Called them up and I was like, hey, the dots on the inside, I can barely see them. They're dull. I can't make them any brighter. Is there any way to adjust that? And they were like, no, that's an issue we knew about. We had a couple of them go out the door, and the dots on the inside of them were not strong enough. You couldn't see them. Now, one thing that's kind of neat is almost all of this stuff I still have because I didn't send it in. I probably should have. So here you have a tape on here that you can actually put on your rifle. That way you know what kind of a bullet you're shooting and your drop and everything. But you have the screwdriver to open up the battery compartment and the instructions on how to mount it and how to program it. They send you with a pretty nice field towel here. I have 2 of those now, so I'm kind of happy about that part. The actual Burris 5 is right here. It's not a huge scope, but it takes up a good little chunk of space. It has its own integrated, I shouldn't say rail, but scope mounts that are built into it. End cap here. And I haven't been using the end caps at all. Just not quite something that I do on this one. It's for what I'm using it for. For my higher end scope I do, but for this one here I have not been. Alright. They send a pretty nice little scope shade with it. I'll get that out of the package here. Alright, so nice scope shade. It has a little bit of a ring on the inside of it. It'll keep some of the light down, that way it doesn't get quite so bad for the mirage. I didn't run with this last time, but you can mount this pretty much anywhere. It sinks directly up to here. That way you don't have to reach forward and push the actual scope. You can push somewhere on your stock if you want to. But they send a wrench with it for tightening it down. Little Velcro if you want to for that remote switch. Some shims if you're running any kind of like a 20 MOA rail, you may need to use that. Battery for the remote. These are the rail pieces that they have for it, the scope mounts, and then they send batteries for the scope itself. That's everything inside the package. We're going to get most of this stuff moved out of the way. I'm going to shut the camera off here quick and get it set up where we're going to be getting this mounted. We'll be right back. Okay, we're back. So what I have here is I have a AR platform in 20 practical. It's just a 223 neck down to a 20 caliber. Nice shooting little gun. It's nothing too fancy. I'll have to find the paperwork for where I got the actual barrel from. Tactical Ordnance, 20 practical, 1 in 10 twist. Yeah, I shoot a 40 grain bullet out of it, and it's moving right along. I'm a little hot, so I'm gonna load up some new rounds. Maybe take you guys through that journey as we're doing that. They're not hard to load. They're pretty simple. Basically, you just run it through a bushing die and force the 223 down to a 20 caliber, and then you're all done. I don't remember if I did any neck turning on them or anything. I think I just resized them and ran with them, and they shoot pretty darn nice. Out to 300 yards or so, you really don't even have to change anything for shooting a prairie dog. And that's pretty catastrophic when you hit one. So yeah, we're going to pop this scope off. What I have here is a Vortex Venom. That's a pretty good scope all said and done, especially for the price. I think they only run about 500 bucks. But yeah, we're going to pop that off there. We'll take this rail off and I'll tighten these back down just a little bit. I don't know what I'm going to put that Venom on next time. This rifle here, it did a pretty darn good job. I have a regular 223 that I use once in a while. I think we might try to set that up with my father-in-law's thermal and use that as a nighttime rifle for some coons and some coyotes. We'll see. I want to see if it'll re-zero back to his rifle okay first before I start doing that. I don't want to make it a hassle on his end of anything. Alright, so those are snugged up. I just need to pop this off here. A little dusty. We'll set that off to the side until we figure out what we're going to do with it next. Okay, so for these are the mounts that they send with it. There really isn't anything too special about them. They want them torqued down to 50 to 70 inch-pounds, but all you're going to do is find your spot you're going to put them. That should work right there and there. Yeah, this has a rail built into it all the way up. Well, okay, so we already ran into a snag. I have a full rail all the way up here, and I can't use this with that because it is too tall. And I don't think these will help me at all because these are just shims for it. So give me just a moment here. I'm gonna shut you off, see what options we have, and then I'll be right back. Give me just a second. Alright, bad news. I have to get a riser to go in between here. I don't have enough space. My scope is touching on the front end of it. You can't do that, otherwise it'll end up damaging it in the long run. You don't need that big of a gap, but you have to have a gap in it. Usually they recommend at least a 1/4 inch. They make a 1/2 inch riser for this, which will be about perfect. It'll get my scope up a little bit higher as well, and it'll be a little bit easier to see down the tube. So we're on hold for about a week until those come in. I just placed an order for them, about 25 bucks. They're not that expensive. Everything will be the same mounts and everything. It's just we have to have a riser for it. So it'll be a little convoluted, but once we're done, this thing should shoot pretty darn good. That's the basic way it gets tightened up. I mean, you torque these down to 50 to 70 inch-pounds, and then you're done. After that, you just have to put the batteries in, take it out and shoot it. This will give me a little bit of time to see about maybe actually running some rounds through and getting it ready to do a load development on this rifle with this scope, and we'll see what we can get worked out with it. Sorry for the bad news, sorry for the interruption, but we'll be back in about a week and we'll get this button back up and we'll get it working again. Thank you.